Hello, dwellers of the internet. Welcome back. It's another day and another topic coupled with it. Today, since the last time that we talked, or that I broadcasted, rather, whatever, the last time a video was made, I decided to go the route of talking about one of my favorite franchises, which was Star Wars. I figured we might continue that with sort of a lesser topic of substance, something still that is interesting to me, which is why I wanted to talk about it, but something not as integral as franchise relevance to people, or people, relevant to the time period placement of Star Wars or anything like that. What I want to talk about right now is the placement of alien creatures in Star Wars and their characteristics, and why or why not that may be positive or negative. See, when you come up with an alien creature, when you come up with an idea for some kind of being that's supposed to be beyond our normal conventions for what we think of as a sentient creature that is self-sufficient and functioning, we oftentimes come up with these things that are that we try to make beyond understanding, or beyond words, as Lovecraft would put it when describing some kind of creature that goes beyond the understanding of anything that could come from this planet, which is a cool concept. It is something that's interesting. It's something that is not without merit. It's something that is worthy to pursue artistically, because it's something that can possibly and has reached beyond the imaginations of people over the years, depending on the quality and the the attributes, whatever they may be, of these creatures that have gone beyond our imaginations, and what we could consider to be species that could exist interstellarly, or that could exist somewhere out there in the universe. And Star Wars does this a lot. They, pretty much with every film, there is some kind of new alien species introduced. I mean, episode 4, they, pretty much everyone they established is just, you can't really consider that tacking anything on, because it's the original movie. But they had sand people that they introduced, which were, not earthly creatures. They were not human in any sense besides their physical structure. They had 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, sort of thing, but they are definitely not human, and it's interesting to think about them that way. They were just considered the basic humanoid standard of alien creativity for this universe. And all of a sudden, episode 5, you've got this giant worm creature that lives in a fucking meteor. Like, what the hell is that? This creature is just some random alien that is akin to a worm, some kind of wyvern, some kind of devourer of large things, you would think, because it's large enough to consume a ship in one bite. The Millennium Falcon can be eaten in one bite if it wasn't for Han and Leia escaping. This is interesting. You got episode 6. We get the Ugnaughts. We get the whatever the fuck that alien creature with the tentacles on his forehead. Not his forehead. On the back of his head he's like Majin Buu, but double. He's got the tentacle thing going on. We got all the different aliens that exist in Jabba's palace that are singing that song that's like da 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 chicka monkey hoo, chicka monkey hoo. You know what I'm talking about? That shit. It's pretty cool. They're interesting anyway. Some people hate it. I don't hate it, but that's probably just because I grew up seeing it. I don't know. Anyways. Then you got episode 1, you've got the Gungans, obviously. Everybody hates them. Fuck those guys, am I right? Episode 2, you've got the Camino ones, actually, and those guys are an interesting race. They are relevant to the plot. They have a large impact to the story. Not only are they relevant, but they are the providers of the army of the Republic. They are the providers of the basis for what would become the Imperial Empire eventually. They are, a people, an alien culture that was created, that were the creators of such things that could have the same magnitude of impact as something like the forces of the Empire, like the Stormtroopers. They tie in very well to that. Also, Jango Fett and Boba Fett, they play a part in that. He provided the original DNA, his image for this clone army, and we also learn through through the Camino ones, that Boba Fett happened to be a clone of an original bounty hunter named Jango Fett, and their legacy has lived on throughout the ages, which is really cool. The Camino ones play an integral part to Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, as well as the sequel to it, which, I know a lot of people hate, but I love it, so fuck you if you don't like that random piece of added hypothetical fan fiction to the Star Wars universe, because I do like it, so suck it. It's a fun game. Anyways, and Starkiller is cool, and he's just a good character all around. I'm gonna get into this later. This has got to be a topic. I'm gonna make Starkiller a topic later. For now, we're gonna stick with alien species of different planets and such that get added into the Star Wars universe. That's episode 2. Episode 3. Episode 1, first of all, we get the species of Darth Maul, which, what the fuck? It's like literally like a personification of evil in his physical appearance that's integrated into him. He's black and red with all these crazy tattoo markings going on. Some kind of crazy demon creature that's like, oh yeah, he's the devil. But it turns out that's just an alien species that happens to be red and black and have horns and look extremely intimidating, which is interesting. Episode 3. I didn't even mention the Nemoidians. They're all right. They seem politically important anyway. Episode 3. Do we get any new species in episode 3? We go to Kashyyyk. I'm trying to think here. What's the new species? We get that thing that Obi-Wan rides on when he goes to have the final confrontation with General Grievous. I forget what that thing is called, but I know it has a species. Utapau, that's the planet he goes to when he goes there, and that planet has a species, and these people are called Utapauans or something. Fuck, I forgot their name. But they nevertheless are just as relevant of a species, because they have a planet that's in the main episodic franchise. So they matter. They are relevant to a certain extent. They warn Obi-Wan. They tell him Grievous is watching, the Empire is watching. They tell him 10th level. Thousands of battle droids with their fucking very stuck-out teeth. And then Obi-Wan calmly reacts to the situation, which is actually a really cool characterization moment for Obi-Wan, because he doesn't react in fear, he doesn't react in panic, he doesn't even react in any... He doesn't show any signs of shakenness or unsettledness to this news. He takes the information they give him, knowing that this is a planet under control of the droid army and the Federation at that point, that is, spewing secret information to him and asking for help. He reacts to it in complete solace and in complete control of the situation, completely under control of his emotions and his reactions to whatever anybody would say around him. He immediately realizes, like a professional Jedi would, the situation he's placed in, and he says, I am perfectly prepared for this. I know exactly what to do. I just have to be calm. I am at peace with myself, and I know for a fact I can deal with this situation. He is calm, he is collected, and he responds accordingly, which is part of his profession. It's part of the job and the duty of a Jedi, and it's just beautiful. I love this scene because of that. Anyways, back to the point. What was the point of all this? I've gone on a ramble long enough about different species and a piece of characterization for Obi-Wan. The point I was trying to make about this is, when is an addition of an alien species justified, and when is it not? Let's see. Episode 7. Any new species in Episode 7? I'm trying to think. I mean, we get pretty much everyone on the planet of Jakku. You know, we have that junk dealer. I forget his name as well, but people know it. You know, it's a piece of Star Wars trivia or whatever. That guy, I guess, is a species we've never seen before. We get in Episode 8 the Porgs. Yeah, they're a thing. They're cute, and probably the most highly controversial piece of any aliens interjected into the Star Wars fandom. People were fucking losing their minds like, oh, Porgs are worse than Jar Jar, kind of thing. Anyways, that's a subject for a different time. What I wanted to say is just that when alien species are interjected into the canon of something as huge as Star Wars, at what point does it become does it deviate from intentional to just tacking on a creative idea somebody had about an alien species that could hypothetically exist? Just because they could exist doesn't necessarily mean that they have to exist, and just because it's Star Wars and they expect you to, introduce alien species all the time, it doesn't mean that you have to come up with some kind of ham-fisted idea for an alien species. And truth be told, Star Wars is known for introducing sort of... I mean, I don't want to say the Ewoks are ham-fisted exactly, but they were created to be cute. They were created to be, a culture a culture upon which a sort of identity, and community for an alien species could be provided, but also be cute and attractable to people that like cute things generally. I mean, they were played up for comedic effect. They were a species that was introduced for the comedy and visual appeal elements of the story. And, I like the Ewoks. I'm not saying it's a bad addition to the film, but when does it reach a point of irrelevancy or ham-fistedness when you're introducing these different kinds of alien creatures? Because depending on the Star Wars film, I don't generally, I didn't, and I still do not pay attention to the intention exactly, I guess I do now, because I'm analyzing the films like fucking crazy, and I used to as well, so I don't know why I'm even saying this. I don't generally consider the creatures, outside of their box of relevance to the film. Like, they have a role that they provide, usually, that they're ascribed. The Ewoks were meant to help the rebellion, the Gungans were meant to help the Jedi, but that has no bearing on what I consider to be the value of their species. I like the Ewoks. To me, I like the Ewoks because they were able to successfully battle the Empire, as crazy as that might sound and as ridiculous as many people consider it. I like their species because of that, and because they're cute, obviously. I don't like the Gungans because they speak retardedly. You know, they have a beautiful underwater culture and a beautiful underwater city, which is awesome, on the planet of Naboo, possibly one of the most beautiful planets in Star Wars aesthetically. But that's not going to make me like their culture. The way they speak just irritates me. I guess ultimately, the point of this ramble and what I'm trying to get across is that the species that are introduced in Star Wars have different merits for liking them and not, and I'd be curious to find out what you guys think about that and what you think is a valid or not reason for liking or disliking a species that gets introduced within each film. Leave a comment below. What's your favorite species from Star Wars, and which species is your least favorite, or one that you outright hate, and provide reasoning, because I'm genuinely curious about that. Anyways, that's it for this episode. I'll see y'all tomorrow.